on us. You... But she was trying to save me.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Okay.
Welcome, Talians, slaves, and Time Lord Peace Faction to the 178th episode of an Unearthly podcast. Streaming live on the 19th of October 2016 and featuring The War Doctor, The Heart of Battle, written by Nicholas Briggs and starring the voices of John Hurt as the Doctor and Carolyn Seymour as Rejoice. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell.
Welcome to prime time.
Randy Ronson McCulloch.
Hello.
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke.
Hello.
And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Salutation.
I had
right.
to throw in a Freddy Krueger reference because I'm watching the Elm Street movies for a review this week.
I know we all went straight-laced, and Matt was the only odd man out.
For a second, I thought that Tim had left and we had kidnapped Linkara.
Oh, wow.
All right. As a reminder, we did not rate last week's episode, The Thousand Worlds. We will be rating this one and that one simultaneously, as it seems to be more of a two-part single story than it was two separate stories. And that's a reminder for both you listeners and the panel.
Alrighty.
So, all right. Shall we just go on to the news then?
The panel doesn't need reminding. We perfectly well know that we're talking about the 12th Doctor.
I don't know. Sometimes it feels like it.
Take a drink.
Yep. Matt will be completely plastered by the end of this.
It's not booze. It's orange soda.
Don't tell them that. And sure it is.
Can't you
If
tell
you've,
by
never
the
gotten
taste of it?
if you've never gotten plastered off of orange soda, you're not doing it.
What color is it? It's orange.
It's orange.
Not quite as good as it's green.
It says crush on the label.
That's going to be your condition when you're done.
Alrighty. So, on other news, birthdays.
Yes, birthdays. Before Matt gets completely plastered. All right. Well,
I forgot to list down our first birthday's other major role, but I'm sure you know that already.
So yes, our birthdays. First one is Katie Manning, who was originally known as Joe Grant during the Third Doctor era, later became Joe Jones, and is also known in Big Finish circles as Iris Wildtime. I think that was the one you were referring to, Bill?
Yes.
Turned 70 on the 14th of October. Has Katie Manning been up to anything else recently?
Other than conventions and Big Finish, I'm not sure.
I can't remember hearing her name on anything new. And, you know, normally our news sources usually will tell us on stuff like that. Katie, what are you up to, Katie? Anything of interest? Nothing since 2015. She does occasionally make guest appearances on shows that are not related to Doctor Who, but it's kind of, I guess she's semi-retired.
She just does things when she feels like she wants to do things.
All right. So happy birthday, Katie. Our next birthday of note is Sean Sutton. He was the BBC head of drama from 1967 through 1981. That's from pretty much the beginning of the Troughton era through pretty much the end of Tom Baker. Not quite, but close.
The first 2 years was only acting, but since it became permanent for quite a few years after that, it counts.
He was there for over a decade. It counts.
The first 2 years, technically, Sidney Newman was the head of drama and Sutton was the acting head of drama, but
Well, still,
clearly
he
he
was
stuck
there.
around.
He was there to get weeded in.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a posthumous birthday. He would have turned 97 on the 14th of October as well, except he died in 2004 at the age of 84.
And I would also add, for those of you watching, that we can't actually find any actual photos of him, sadly, so I give you Tom Baker.
He is a behind-the-scenes guy, and sometimes these people don't get their pictures taken as much as others, if at all. And
Especially in the 60s, 70s, it's not like nowadays where everybody has pictures everywhere.
His picture was probably in a couple of magazines somewhere, but since this is pre-web, oh well.
Good luck
And
hunting.
And then finally, a happy birthday to Patrick Ness, who is the writer and executive producer of the upcoming spin-off series Class.
And whom nobody on the podcast wants to.
God damn it, Bill.
Shut up, Bill.
Don't lie, Phil. Don't lie.
Anyway, Patrick turned 45 on the 17th of October. And as for what he's doing, well, we just mentioned it, Class. He's writing it, pretty much all the episodes, and the exec producer.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the guy Moffat basically gave this to and said, run with it.
And I hope he does a good job. So here's the
We'll
crossing
see
of the
how he
fingers.
does.
Which might make him the next Chris Chibnall.
What has I this is not the first time I've heard Patrick Ness's name.
Yeah, we pointed him out once before, at least.
Let's see.
He's been mentioned in a lot of articles related to Class coming.
I'm trying to remember what he was doing before Class, though. I remember he was something big enough that they decided to let him do this.
As everyone highlights his name, going, Patrick Ness!
He did a couple of Doctor Who short fictions and stuff, so that seems to be about it.
So he's not totally disfamiliar from the franchise.
But not entirely.
Apparently he's a
familiar.
novelist.
Yeah, we'll see how he does. We'll have to really see how he does. Anyway, happy birthday, Patrick. Welcome to the family. May you have a good season run, which we will get a hold of.
One way or another.
Okay.
Not escaped.
So,
All right.
moving on
Episode
to
news.
episode news. Yes.
Yeah, episode news. We've got future episodes or upcoming episode interest from Cult Box here. Michelle Gomez confirms she starts filming Doctor Who again soon. Let's see here. The new season of Doctor Who is currently filming in Cardiff and will premiere on BBC One in April 2017. Gomez's first appearance as the latest incarnation of the Master was, of course, in 2014 season. And then she also reappeared for The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar. And she has also said, I can officially say that I will be starting back on Doctor Who soon, so that's one thing. During an interview. She's also appeared on Gotham as the character of the Lady. They were going to kill her off on that show, but apparently they just kind of dropped her character as far as from what I've seen. And there's nothing much more on that. Let me see here. Cult Box also posted something for Stephen Moffat. Are we going into that article too?
Yeah, actually, I had in the news document we actually had cut the first article because everything's in the second one. But there's just one quote from Stephen Moffat in Doctor Who magazine that adds to the story.
Okay. Oh, of course, Missy will be back. How could she not be? Yeah, that's what he's quoted as saying in the Doctor Who magazine. Of course, she was such a smash hit anyway when she premiered. It was kind of everyone had all these guesses going that she was going to be the Ronnie or someone else, or even Susan or someone who had turned evil, but yeah, totally not what you would expect the master to become.
I don't know. At the same time, she's very much a female Anthony Ainley.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Very much
Yeah.
in her expressions and her style.
That's why
I mean,
she works so well.
She's
Oh
not.
God, you say that, I'm kind of picturing her now, like just a random woman walking through the streets, and they're like, "Who are you really?" And she pulls off a plastic mask, and it's Michelle Gomez underneath. I'm Misty, of course.
And apparently she's crazy enough to do that too. I mean, her real world persona is less sinister, but from what I've heard, is pretty much equally crazy.
Mm. But yeah, so that's a nice, pleasant surprise.
I'm of a mixed opinion of it. Yes, I love Missy. She's a great character for Doctor Who, but this will be the 3rd season in a row she's been in.
You're afraid of overexposure?
Yeah, because remember, it was about the 3rd season of Doctor Who that people started going Daleks again. Really?
Depends upon
Don't you
how
think
well
they-
she's used. As long as she doesn't
It's like-
get so used that she no longer feels like a menace.
Yeah, they need to use just enough of her to help kind of push maybe a season along. Maybe give it a break for like 1 season, and then maybe bring her back for another episode the next season after that.
The issue right now is that Cybermen, Daleks, or I should say Missy, the Daleks, and to a slightly lesser extent the Cybermen are all kind of overused at this point.
Mhm.
So there really needs to be at least a season break from any of them in order to to get some space. Is my opinion.
A season with entirely new monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like the Hinchcliffe era, which is what it's best known for, is going entirely a new direction.
A season where they don't have any old monsters, where it's entirely new stuff.
Even if even if their returning monsters were the Ronnie and the Monk, or
no,
the Sea Devil.
No, Bill, entirely new monsters.
No, I'm saying that would be good, but I'm saying even if it was something we haven't seen since the 80s, since the 70s, I'd be okay with that.
I don't know. Every time they bring back a monster, they seem to be on the verge of overusing them. The only one they haven't done that with yet is the Ice Warriors.
I was just about to say the Ice Warriors. We've only had one of them so far.
And the Silurians, unless you count the one recurring character.
I do, because they wound up overusing her,
yes.
which is also why the Santarans are overused, thanks to Strax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, he's the cheese ball of the Santarans, but yeah, because of him, they're technically always around.
What about the Nestine?
We haven't seen the nesting consciousness in a long
we haven't
time.
seen them back. We haven't seen them. We've seen them referenced a couple times,
Yeah.
but we haven't seen them
Do
physically.
you
since
do you
Rose.
consider the Pandorica opens as an Nestine episode?
Yes, I do.
Actually,
So
yeah.
that
So since then, because that's how they had to work.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind
because
seeing the
autons
Sea
don't work
Devils
without
come back.
nesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
wonder-
mind it, but I would still argue for a season where everything is brand new.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Just giving them an entire season.
Especially since a certain somebody is talking about how this is going to be like your first episode of Doctor Who ever. And we all know that's not going to be the case, but let's pretend he knows what he's talking about this time.
A whole season where you don't have to worry about continuity because you're not bringing back anything new other than the Doctor. That would be beautiful.
I'd
And
like
when
to
you
see a third species brought back, a third species of lizard. You have the Sea Devils, the Silurians. What else could be brought back? Or what
Loch
else
Ness
could
Monster.
be?
Oh.
What else could be created?
I don't know.
Flying lizards. That's what we need.
I just want them. I don't want them to have another monster within the continuity. I'd like to have them out there, exploring some new worlds for once, meeting some new aliens.
That's true, yes. I would like a season where we only visit Earth in like the opening and the finale.
And maybe once.
Maybe once in the middle.
Once in the middle because he needs to have a refuel.
Mm-hmm.
He ran out of milk or something. You know, like he did in Doctor Dances. You know, all the planets in the universe, it has to come from a cow. You know, something like that. He's just there for a grocery run and gets caught up in something. That would be
or
awesome.
visiting Cardiff to recharge.
They had done that one too.
Mm-hmm.
I would literally love to see the Doctor waiting in a grocery store and have something happen. A butcher shop.
Now you're getting into One Punch Man.
Oh, when we say no returning monsters, what if Sabalam Glitch?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Because you bring Sabaline Glitch, you've got to bring in Sabaline Glitz's continuity.
Yeah, you gotta bring back all that continuity, and that's just gonna drive the new people bonkers.
Yep.
We need to sell them in first, and then we can start going for long continuity.
I mean, I'll admit it. The first series of Doctor Who, where they had, I think, only the Daleks and only the Nestine, and they only briefly touched on the Nestine.
Right.
Continuity.
Mm-hmm.
They did pretty good. But they really need to have...
And if you weren't a third Doctor fan, you wouldn't really have known the Nestine were a returning monster in that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But since then, we have started to get bogged down in the continuity again. Having a fresh season where we can establish new continuity would be good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when you bring the Daleks back, make sure that they're scary and not, you know, there's not a Time Lord poking fun at them or anything like that.
Thus said, failing that, I would like to see some of the new Who monsters that have only ever appeared once.
Yes.
Get some appearings like the Sycorax or the Vashta Narada.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can flesh out what continuity that we've had and largely neglected.
Anyway, we've gone on a long tangent about this.
Yes, let's move on.
Yep.
Okay, well, according to Cultbox, Matt Lucas has dropped a bit of a spoiler over Twitter, claiming that Jamie Matheson will be returning. In fact, he even claimed to love one of Matheson's scripts. So if you don't know about him, Matheson wrote Mummy on the Orient Express, Flatline, and The Girl Who Died with Stephen Moffat in that. He's also
like two of those.
He's also written for Being Human as well.
I like two of those. I think I remember liking Mummy on the Orient Express.
Yes, that was a fairly solid episode. What was the other one?
Flatline, we weren't that fond of.
Flatline, I thought we gave mostly positive reviews of.
I remember not liking it so much.
I think it was like a 3.5 or a 4, as I recall.
Mummy on the Express got a 4.1 from us, by the way.
Yeah, Mummy got a 4 at least.
Flatline, I like The Girl Who Died, actually.
Yeah, I'm slowly checking as I can.
Yeah, and then The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived were excellent stories.
I think, though, The Woman Who Lived was liked better than The Girl Who Died.
Yes, that's because we knew where they were going with it then.
Let's see, Woman Who Lived got a 3.6.
Okay, Flatline we gave a 3.7. So you're right in that we were less
average.
fond of it overall than Mummy on the Orient Express. It looks like I was the exception.
All right, how about A Girl Who Died?
Girl Who Died is not.
You keep cutting off.
We gave that a 4.1.
Okay, so that was up there too.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 out of 3 is not bad. Okay, so yeah, 2 out of 3 is not bad. That sounds like a good idea. That sounds like that's a good returning person.
Mm-hmm.
Flatline.
Worth noting, Matheson has twice been used to introduce characters that would later come on to return. So whether that's intentional this time or just coincidental, it may be that Matheson's introducing a new character that will be recurring. Maybe not, but it's possible.
Yeah, let's see. With Flatline, it was that Banksy character.
Yeah.
Who came back for...
Of course, our Arya Stark.
Yep. And we don't know if anyone will return from Mummy on the Orient Express yet.
That's true. They kind of hinted it would be an ongoing thing, but we really don't know if that's an off-screen sort of thing or
Yeah,
something
and
that'll happen
that
again on
could be
screen.
what he's writing too. Is a sequel to that one, which I wouldn't mind seeing. So yeah, this is a good thing. This is a decent writer, not the greatest writer, but a decent writer coming back. And the seasons that he's done, I've been more or less happy about. The least the one I liked is Flatline, and even there were some epic moments.
Yes.
So this is a positive note. Okay. I think that's all the episode news. So now we have some spin-off news.
Yes, the spin-off news is there's a Class Episode 1 photo gallery out on DoctorWhoNews.net.
And just as a reminder to everyone, they always tend to put out a photo gallery like this the week that a new episode is airing.
Yep.
And it's nice to see that they're doing it for Class as well as Doctor Who.
As well as character portraits.
Look at this guy. The big black fog machine next to Pierre Capaldi.
Coricinus. Or however you pronounce that. Coricinus. Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Ooh, they have titles. Nice.
They even have titles, yes.
Which one are you looking at, by the way?
2 and 3, I think. Yeah. 2 and 3 at the top.
And the Doctor is not looking at the monster at all.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty badass looking.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting looking, yes. Wonder what
I'm trying
that's
to
all
think
about.
what it reminds me of. Is it a frost giant that it reminds me of?
A little bit.
A little. Also kind of reminds me of the tree people. From
the
the
tree
Doctor,
people.
from the Christmas special.
Kind of, if one was
Okay.
on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Sort of looks like
we've
a
seen-
creature
yeah.
from Buffy
They're
the
the
Vampire
cold
Slayer.
giants. They've come to fight the frost giants. Except they're referred to as the Shadowkin in the blurb.
I like how it looks kind of purple towards the back of it. So it's not like a lava monster, is it? It looks kind of like it starts out on the front, but in the back you see kind of just waves of purple
Right.
Shit, it looks like,
mixed in with the smoke here.
And I don't
there's
think
a
we've
blue
seen
glow.
this before, have we?
There's a blue glow and then there's a teal glow towards the butt.
I think that's part of the blue glow.
Might be glow bouncing off the black outfit. Yeah.
I think that's the blue glow merging with one of the red glows.
Yeah, that's also very possible. Moving
But
further
yeah, that looks
on.
like something that should be that was like right out of the Secret World, I swear.
Yeah, and we've had lava monsters before in
Coal
Doctor Who.
Hill Academy
Wasn't it the
sign.
pyrite or pyrocene or something?
Pyrovile.
Pyrovile, yeah.
And that looks better than the Pyrovile did.
Oh, wow. This guy's like practically covered in blood.
Where?
Second
Second
row,
row?
middle. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And he's facing the smoking lava creature.
Oh yeah, that's supernatural levels of blood.
And there's
That's-
as far as I can tell, there's really no indication of how he got that way, other than the fact that
A monster standing in front
in
of
the
him.
other image we see him kissing a girl that doesn't seem to show up anywhere else. So I'm kind of wondering if she's a red shirt.
Maybe.
She's lunch.
She's lunch meat.
Yeah, it
She
looks
might
like
be.
we see one where they're at the dance and they're pointing. The one guy is pointing a gun.
Mm-hmm.
At the monster, at the lava monster, and the lava monster is holding a sword. You guys see it?
You're
Something like
assuming
it.
it's a lava monster.
A lava
Fire
monster.
monster.
Remember
It's a
Bill
monster.
mentioned that it was listed as, what was it, a Shadowkin or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie, Miss Quill, and April.
I would know, at least just going off of these pictures, it seems that Charlie and April, of the teens, have the most screen time, so they may be the stars of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the teacher seems to have a bit of screen time too.
Right, but she's. I mean, we've pretty much pegged her in the Doctor slash Sarah Jane slash Jack role, so it makes sense. You know that I'm saying, but
She's the Giles.
yeah, but of the teenagers, it looks like those two have the most screen time. At least just pictures. At least should I say the most picture time at this point?
They're being the most advertised at the moment.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the doctor's making her work there as some kind of punishment.
Possible.
Wonder if she's a Zygon.
It's possible. I mean, you know, if you
Also
think
possible,
about
very
her
possible.
arrogant attitude, that would actually make sense.
Yeah. Speaking of her and her attitude, we do see her drinking from a shiny mug that looks almost like it's a Dalek design inverted. It's
I think you're
fourth
looking
row?
too much into that.
Fourth row.
That's
I would
not. Really,
I would not put it past the prop team to do that on purpose, though.
yeah, you're really kind of pushing that because that's
No, I don't see that being Dalek.
no.
I don't know,
think
Bill.
that
You're
was just
stretching.
your eye looking for a pattern that's not there. You're on your own on that one, Bill.
Yeah,
you're
Rachel only
stretching a bit.
shows up in like the one or two pictures. That's apparently the girl's name, the red shirt.
Yeah.
Supposedly a red
The
shirt
possible
one.
red shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
only shows up in the two pictures, and she does not show up in the character portraits that are behind the spoiler tag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's behind a spoiler tag because there's no spoilers in it, but it's just.
I know
pictures.
it's like spoiling the poster that they did a few weeks ago or something, and then the big review.
I think they just did it so that the article wouldn't be too physically big on the screen.
I actually like that they kept those separate because that's the first time they've done that. That's kind of nice. So I think that's about all we really can glean from these because the rest of them are pretty much standard. Pretty standard pictures, except for a couple there with the TARDIS. But we already know the Doctor's going to be there, so.
Well, the guy covered in blood is one of the main side characters. He's not
Ram
one of the
apparently.
Yeah, Ram.
We'll see.
It's spelled Ram.
I know, it's Ram.
Bob, you don't know what accent they're pronouncing it in,
True.
so it's pronounced, but it's spelled both.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
In British, I'm pretty sure you did go with the Ram, but it's hard to tell.
In
Anyway,
any case, we
moving
will know
on.
by next week.
Yep. Speaking of class, the cast and the writer, so once again, Mr. Ness, will be appearing at MCM London Comic Con from the 28th through the 30th of this month, which takes place at XL London, and they will be appearing on Saturday.
You know, I don't understand these guys. They make the New York City Comic Con. They make the London Comic Con. They skipped fucking San Diego Comic Con, the biggest fucking Comic Con in the world.
At least as of, and I haven't seen a side-by-side comparison, but I know at least 1 year, New York was bigger than San Diego. So I don't know if New York actually is bigger than San Diego now, or if they're rivals or what.
I don't believe you.
I'm actually going to later on. I'll look up side by side numbers just to make sure I know what I'm talking about. But the numbers I've saw, at least 1 year they beat them, which really surprised me because New York was not that big the year I went compared to San Diego.
And this is the New York Comic Con.
But this one that they'll be appearing in is MCM London Comic Con. And it will be Patrick Ness, Fadi El Sayed, Greg Austin, Sophie Hopkins, Vivian Opara, and Derek Ritchie. So it does not look like what's her name? I just closed the thing. What's Miss Quill's actress?
I cannot remember.
But she will apparently not be there because she's not listed.
That means that she might be doing quick emergency reshoots or
she might have another gig.
Yep, either way.
Maybe she'll appear in Doctor Who. Who knows? They do not mention any of the Doctor Who cast, so maybe the Doctor Who cast is busy. Anyway, that's about all we have to say about MCM London Comic Con.
Well, of course they're busy, Bill. They're filming right now. Mary?
Okay. So that will take us, I guess, up to the Big Finish news,
Mm-hmm.
for which we have, first of all, The Fifth Traveler, which you wouldn't expect from its name, but is a classic era 1960s Hartnell era audio adventure, which is out currently. Summary is as follows: the Dr. Ian, Barbara, Vicky, and Jaspa. The hell is Jaspa?
Apparently, she's a new companion, which may or may not be what the title is named.
Okay. Land the TARDIS on the homeworld of the Arunde. Emerging into the jungle that covers the planet and encountering the strange wildlife dwelling within, the travelers are unaware that the rulers live high above them in the trees. The ape-like members of the tribe are in trouble. The last matriarch's nest has been lost to the surface, and the people are hungry. Maybe these strangers may be responsible, and some believe they may be salvation. The TARDIS crew are about to find themselves in the middle of someone else's battle, but there's more at stake than even they know. Wow, they really seem to be adding a bit there to the Hartnell era, don't they? And this
I
is,
mean,
of course,
I think that's partially because a fair number of the Hartnell companion actors and actresses are no longer with us. So I think they're trying to set up new companions that, can keep coming back.
So this is starring William Russell as the first Doctor and Ian, Maureen O'Brien as Barbara, I believe, Gemma Powell
as Vicky.
As Vicky? Okay, sorry. Gemma Powell and James Joyce, one of which is Barbara and one of which we assume is Jaspa. And this is the third series from this popular range of the early adventures. And
I've seen mixed feedback on Gemma Powell as Barbara, so I really don't know how she does.
We'll have to.
We'll have to listen to it at some point and find out. Yeah.
Yep. And next month is the Ravielli Conspiracy from Doctor Who: The Early Adventures, with Maureen O'Brien and Peter Purves, or Purves. I can never remember which.
I think it was Purves.
Like, something about that cover really stands out compared to a lot of other covers. It's
a lot more color.
It's more of a 3D effect or what.
Which one?
The Ravelli Conspiracy. It just
I think
pops compared to most covers.
Well, if you take a look at the older covers, they seem to have that older design. The Ravelli Conspiracy has a more modern design, so yeah, it feels a more three-dimensional.
Also, I think it's really down to the colors. They had a much better use of colors in this one than the one above it.
Okay, so the other Big Finish release that is out today, and yeah, these are out today as of the 19th of October, is Doctor Who Rulebook Short Trips by Tony Jones and featuring Nicola Bryant behind the mic, giving a rich take on the variety of characters the Fifth Doctor and Perry Brown encounter in one of their earliest travels together. The Ilani of Beetledom 3 lived their lives in regulated harmony until they were invaded by the Valtor. Of course, the Doctor and his new companion Perry were delighted to help out, but they don't know their biggest challenge wouldn't be the Valtor army, but the rule book. So this is a short trip, so it is only $3 or £3, or available in a subscription of $12 for $30. And really, that's about it.
That's it for regular news, at least.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it for our Big Finish news, and that's it for the news in general. We have, of course, been talking about season premieres, and this is the third and final part of the premieres.
Yep.
As, of course, last week was the premiere of Legends of Tomorrow, which was a very interesting episode. I take it? Did you see it, Bill?
I did, yes.
Okay. So our Legends crew wound up on a mission to rescue Einstein from Nazis. Kind of an interesting little brief on history, and actually sees, at least temporarily, the departure of Rip Hunter. So our own Arthur Darvill will be at least detached from the series. This might mean that he's on leave to do a personal project. Or just the fact that they had a plot that didn't require him. We have not figured out which. I'm actually going to check.
Maybe a plot has come up that he would have helped them out too easily and they need to be stuck there a bit.
Maybe Guardians trailer 2 will have Nebula all of a sudden have a love interest.
I doubt it. It's not showing that he's doing anything in film or theater right now, nor is he doing any other series. So I guess he's just on break. For whatever reason. Just possibly because they wanted to establish a new character and didn't want to have the group rely on Rip instead. So we'll have to see how that goes and how long he's out of it. But really, I mean, that's the only thing that was out.
Yeah. It was there was a bit of Oliver, not Green Arrow, but Oliver Queen kind of co-introduced the episode, and then he eventually backed off. But yeah, big. That's big news for some people. No news for other people. Take it as you will.
Yep. We did get to see more of Superman over on Supergirl.
Yep.
And I am still very much loving that Superman. That Superman is light years beyond Henry Cavill.
Did you hear that those 2 episodes are going to be the only ones he's a part of?
That doesn't surprise me. It is a show about Supergirl. So if you keep having Clark Kent Superman show up,
well, yeah,
during
obviously
the
you don't want
entire
him
season,
showing up too much.
Otherwise, it's going to become the Superman show with Supergirl.
Right.
And that's not the story they're trying to tell. However, if we know that Arrow may be lasting 2 more seasons tops. After this, it's probably going to last about 7 seasons, is what they've said. Once that's done, that means that their Wednesday night slot is open, and they might be considering doing something a la Justice
Lantern.
They honestly could use a decent Green Lantern for the universe right now.
It feels really weird that Hal Jordan's 2 best superhero friends have their own shows, and Green Lantern is not part of that universe yet.
I'm still of the opinion that I would love Arrow to end with Jon Stewart investigating a crashed alien who gives him a ring. I want, or John Diggle discovering that he's actually John Stewart Diggle. Because that would be freaking awesome. And he looks like the role and has the background for the role, which is both kind of cool.
I don't think he's an engineer, though.
He's not an engineer, but the Jon Stewart in the original one did have a military background.
Right.
So that still mostly fits.
It does, yeah. I mean, the 2 things that are mainly used to separate him from other Lanterns is his military background and his engineering background. So I don't know how well it would probably work with just one, but it would feel like a missed opportunity.
It's just we've kind of watched him trying to find the correct role in everything, and I think it'd be cool if they spun him off into being Lantern. That'd be just kind of awesome. At the same time, I would love to see a Justice League show that included that particular Superman. as
yeah.
one of the heads of the Justice League, because he was freaking perfect.
Right.
Even to the point where he's Clark Kent and talking to Perry White.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's noted that we are going to be saying goodbye to Callista Flockhart as Cat Grant,
Okay.
but she did stay on for the couple of episodes.
I kind of figured she wouldn't be around because she's still a pretty big named actress. I mean, not super huge nowadays, but still kind of up there.
And she wanted to be based in Los Angeles, so that she thought the Vancouver was too much of a commute. She has said that she can show up as a guest star on occasion, but that she's not going to be a regular anymore. Which is kind of a downer because I really do like Flockhart's Cat Grant. I mean, she's a bitch, but she's a bitch with a heart of gold. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of one of those things where you're just like, wow, that's going to be kind of a blow to the show. Still, I'm still eager and happy to see how this whole new Canadian moved, and I'm also interested to see what's going to happen, that it's going to incorporate them into the rest of the Flash Arrow universe. Because apparently it's going to take a little more than just Flashpoint. I still think they're going to be somehow doing some version of Crisis on Infinite Earths or something like that somewhere down the storyline here.
Maybe.
The writers have said they have it planned. They know how it's going to happen. They're just not telling us.
I kind of don't want them to, just because I know that, like, the idea of Crisis that I have is one that they probably could never get the budget for, and I don't want to ruin that. But at the same time, I do want to do that because it's a great story.
It wouldn't be that exact take on Crisis. I mean, Flashpoint wasn't the exact take on Flashpoint.
Right.
It did not have Citizen Cold, which I do think was kind of a miss. But it did show us Wally West as Kid Flash, which will be happening again, I'm fairly certain. I think they're hinting at it.
I have a feeling, I have a feeling that's going to have something to do with Dr. Alchemy.
Yeah, I think so.
I did see something, and I couldn't find out whether or not this was based on a source or whether it was speculation, but the idea that Flashpoint is going to cause Captain Cold to come back, and he's going to be much more evil than before because of the changes to the timeline. But again, I have no idea if that's just speculation or based on a source.
Partial speculation. We know the fact that
we know the actor and character will in some way return.
Yep. And I know I've heard rumors to the effect that it'll be done in Legends by them going back and picking him up earlier in his timeline. But we don't know the particular whens and wheres on that one. Because they really, really, they need him on that team. I miss his snark already. He was my favorite character in Legends of Tomorrow. Him and Adam. Him, Adam, and frickin' Rip Hunter. I could care less about the rest of them because they were all pretty bland. Even, White Canary bothered me because actually she's still bothering me. Because it's...
Because of her vendetta?
No, because it's basically White Canary screws all the females in time.
White Canary is female Captain Jack at this point.
Yes, she is.
She's a time-traveling pansexual who gets everyone she wants, and some people she doesn't want.
Occasionally looks to be interested in guys, but they up that there because the when they get her back in Legends Tomorrow, this is a slight bit of a spoiler. They grab her from Salem during the trials, where she's about to be burned for corrupting all the females of the area. And she's like, it didn't take a lot of corrupting. I mean, I'm like, oh, Jesus.
This is after she gets seduced by a queen who's supposed to be giving birth to some savior or something.
She gets seduced by the French queen who's supposed to be marrying, I think, Louis the 13th or something like that. I'm like, all right, and I could buy that one because the French were fairly loose that way. But this was Salem. This was uptight religious religious conservatism.
Yes and no, because as has been pointed out to me in multiple history classes, they wouldn't have had so many laws requiring people to be uptight if people weren't doing the opposite. So a lot of that, the strict and conservatism is probably the, at various times, older generations lashing out at the younger.
At the same time,
so I can kind of buy something like this happening with a grain of salt.
It felt a little over the top. It feels like they're going a little over the top with it. Thus said, I'm still enjoying a lot of it because they are seeming to be putting more time into a lot of the characters that they haven't had time to build more, which is good. All right. That reminds me. I'm going to have to watch... I'm going to have to find time in my busy schedule to try to watch the rest of that. The catch up on this week's stuff tomorrow. Anyway. So I guess that's all I have to say about TV news. Anybody have anything else for a few minutes?
I was about to ask the same thing. Anything else?
Guardians of the Galaxy teaser dropped today. It didn't really show much.
Yeah, but I accidentally watched it before suddenly thinking to myself, stupid, you're supposed to wait for them to do your reaction thing. Don't.
I'm not really that big on reaction videos.
Yeah, but I'm tampering it just to see how it does. If it doesn't really do much, I'm just like, it was an idea. But yeah.
As long as the reaction is interesting, because so many of those videos are just someone sitting there watching the trailer and then
even
saying,
in my first episode,
that was a trailer.
Even my first episode, I did cut some of it down. Like, I cut down all my dead air. Because, yeah, that's not really a reaction. That's just you sitting through... It's literally you watching someone else watching a video.
Right.
Unless it's like a really short video. In which case I can understand. But even on trailer, if there's not much to say, there's not much to say.
Yeah, it really takes an episode that goes kind of off the rails or sideways for you to get a good reaction thing from. Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm gonna have to watch the trailer for that. I have not seen it yet. What do you guys have thought of the trailers that you've seen for Doc Strange?
I actually haven't caught any of those.
I actually haven't watched any of those yet.
Same with
I've
Rogue
seen
One.
images up the wazoo. I haven't actually watched any of them all the way through.
Yeah, Rogue One I haven't watched the trailer for yet either.
I heard some of the trailer for that because they were watching it the other night. But I have not actually seen the trailer for that either.
The most recent trailer, well, I did that for my first reaction episode, and that thing was giving me goosebumps. I like it so far.
For which?
It's story trailer number 2.
For which?
Rogue One. We were just talking about it.
For Rogue One, I wanted to make sure because we flipped tracks 3 times. I wanted to make sure you were on the last track we did.
Yeah, Rogue One.
Yep. Okay. I don't know. For me, it's kind of a mixed bag to get my enthusiasm up for it. And it's not just it's not an anti-Star Wars thing or anything. I guess it's because I liked the way that the story had been handled at the beginning of Dark Forces, and now seeing them cover that story again, only different, kind of me a little bit. Especially,
it's never going to be the same because they're never going to want to do it the exact same way and put the film anyway.
It looks like they're going to do something slightly different.
No matter how much we want them to do Dark Forces as a movie.
Dark Forces as a movie would have kicked fucking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen the Plinkett review for The Force Awakens.
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about Force Awakens, and maybe and also kind of Star Wars Rebels, although Rebels at least kind of builds on some things. It's not just all fan service.
Yeah, that's my major problem with Force Awakens, is it loses a lot of points for lack of originality.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know how Bill feels. Bill?
On Force Awakens, I haven't watched the Plinkett review other than hearing that it was one of his worst reviews, so I don't really know what he said.
That's not what I was asking. Your personal thoughts on The Force Awakens. Episode 7. You're kind of our resident Star Wars geek.
It kind of depends on how it, to me, it's the kickoff of a trilogy, and I feel like I can't judge it until I actually know the story it's trying to tell me. There are elements that I like, elements I don't like, but I feel like I can't really form a full opinion until I know things like what Rey actually is, things like that, like the rest of the story. Like, I don't know the story of The Force Awakens yet, so I can't really form an opinion. Is how I kind of react to it.
I can't fully agree with you, Bill, because
I don't feel like it's a standalone story.
Yes, it is.
You can judge it as a standalone story, but there's still too much we don't know about it to really give a final thought on it. It's episode 7 of 9.
Yes, I know, but Star Wars has always done 3 what's essentially standalone stories, although some may say that Empire and Jedi.
And you notice the at least to me, the beginning of each trilogy is always the weakest anyway. Of that trilogy, I mean.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that for the original trilogy. The prequel trilogy, oh yeah.
The original trilogy, I feel like the entire second half of A New Hope is the weakest part of the original trilogy.
I don't feel that.
I don't feel that at all.
It's a movie that I've watched at least 10 times at this point, so I'm not going to say I dislike the movie, but weakest of that trilogy.
You call him the Star Wars geek in this group, and he's only watched the first one 10 times?
He's the only one in this group that goes to Star Wars conventions.
True. Only watched the first one 10 times. God.
Well, I don't exactly count, but it does take time to watch all 6 movies in a row and then do other things and then go back to it.
I have no idea how many times I've watched the original Star Wars trilogy.
I know I've watched the holiday special. I know I've watched the holiday special 3 or 4 times. If you watch one movie 30 times, then you're just how would you ever watch another movie?
I have watched the original Star Wars trilogy since I was 5, dude. And I would spend all weekend as a 5-year-old watching that trilogy.
You do not want to know how many times I've watched Wrath of Khan.
I've never counted how many times I've seen the Star Wars movie.
I guarantee you it's at least 30, probably even more than that.
I have seen Wrath of Khan so many times because I will be sitting on my couch going, I'm bored, nothing really on TV. Oh, hey, Wrath of Khan.
It's kind of like listening to a good song over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, especially for a while, I was trying to watch a different movie every single chance I sat down at a computer. So I wouldn't necessarily watch the same movie more than once every 6 months or once every year.
Yeah, and there are some fans, they have to force it. I have to force myself to listen to new music instead of just the same 5 songs over and over.
There's also the fact that a lot of the time when I start rewatching the saga, I'll get an hour and a half into the Phantom Menace and kind of get distracted and not finish the other 9 hours of the saga.
Yeah.
Why would you start a Phantom Menace?
Because it's number 1.
God.
Well,
Machete order, man. Machete order. You don't have to watch episode 1. It has no point.
To be fair, I also spent 4 years dating someone whose favorite Star Wars movie was episode 1.
well, everyone has their own thing.
Means I'm going to hate your face.
Yeah, that was pretty much all I took out of episode 1 is that Jar Jar needed to die in a fire.
Poor Jar Jar.
Man.
No one likes him.
For very
I
obvious
Anyway,
reasons.
I actually, I'll be honest, I actually did kind of like Jar Jar Binks.
To be, a lot of the time when I watch it on my own, I'll skip to Act 3.
You do know
He's
that one
actually
person
Darth-
listening is on the other room, Aaron.
you know, he's actually, a Darth. He's a dark Sith Lord.
I've heard that theory.
So
There's
how
a-
about that 5-minute challenge?
Actually, I wanted to add in one little quick thing since we're not quite to the hour yet. Bill, you might like to hear about this. Have you heard about the Friday the 13th the game yet?
I know you mention it once a week when you mention that it's not out yet.
Ah, gosh, it's still not out yet. The last I heard, officially, they're saying the latest will come out sometime in December. Also, actually, this will lean into some movie news too. So Friday the 13th, the game, they have announced a couple of new things that they're doing while we still haven't gotten it yet. Is that, first of all, Tommy Jarvis, you'll know this character more than anyone else in here, Bill.
Right.
Tommy Jarvis is going to be a playable character now.
Which version of him?
I would assume the older version of him.
So the crazy one? That
The one that put him back into the lake.
the one that woke him up?
The one that accidentally woke him up and then put him back under again, yeah. Part 6, I would assume. Also, Friday the 13th, the game is working on a single-player, I assume, story mode, at least, and also a single-player multiplayer mode, so that way, in case, in the distant future, whenever the multiplayer will no longer be supported, you'll actually still be able to play the game with at least AIs, and I would assume they might even include a LAN
that already
possibility.
In my day, multiplayer did not stop being supported. You just needed someone to give the controller to.
Bill, welcome to the modern day gaming. Multiplayer means that everyone is on the other end of the internet, and we're trying to get into the same room so we can play a game. So we can play a match.
BattleNet for getting that started.
What is this?
That was before BattleNet, dude.
What is the split screen you talk of? Split screen?
They split the screen? Who would be stupid
I
enough to do
remember
that?
When we brought the disc into Works, fired up a Half-Life server, and we all just logged in and went to town. Those were the days.
But
I don't know.
But as I was saying, this is leading into movies. They're officially announcing that the release dates of 2 more movies are going to be coming out in October. The first of which they've actually given a date for, which is Friday the 13th, next year in October.
Remake?
This is going to be another reboot, yes. This one, they are getting, who was it now? They're getting the director from the George A. Romero remake, The Crazies. They're getting the director from that, and then the writer they're getting from another recent horror movie that apparently did really well. I can't name the movie right off the top of my head. It's not one I've seen. But apparently they got some good guys behind the new Friday the 13th. None of them are going to be Platinum Dunes. And also, John Carpenter is heading a new Halloween movie, which will also be coming out October next year. It's not... what they've said, they for sure said he's going to be producer. He's going to be... creative lead, which means he'll also be helping with the writing and so forth for the new Halloween remake. And he is also possibly going to be heading the music department, so he'll be remaking his own theme music and everything.
Is it confirmed whether it'll be a sequel to H2O or whether it'll be a complete out-of-the-blue remake?
They've not really said that. It's kind of sounding like it might be a complete remake, though.
God damn it.
But I would much prefer it to be a sequel to H2O.
Yeah,
because that's also what he's kind of hinting at too. Is from what John Carpenter has actually said, He made the Halloween franchise so many years ago, and he wants to make officially the scariest Halloween movie to date.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just really sick of Hollywood remakes. I really am.
These are honestly ones I can understand a bit, because at least with Halloween, it's been since the 70s since we had a good remake. I don't count the Rob Zombie remakes as ain't that good. At first, when I first saw them when I was a little bit younger, I was okay with them, but as I continued to watch them again and again, I'm like, nah. They're not connecting me with me like the original series did.
I think the Rob Zombie was they tried to explain too much.
Yes, they tried to explain way too much, and it came off feeling more like Jason than Michael.
I can't think of the Rob Zombie one without thinking of Michael eating candy corn crying while Love Hurts plays in the background.
Yeah, that happened, didn't it? Also, I hate those Halloween masks. The Rob Zombie and Michael Myers Halloween masks. They look atrocious. I just will never buy them. That's also was one thing that. Oh, also that leads into Dead by Daylight, which is also getting free Halloween DLC supposedly.
So back to games. Yeah, the only games I'm looking forward to is Watch Dogs 2 in I think November or December.
Pokemon Sun and Moon demo came out.
I heard
has
that
been
briefly.
data mined all over the internet.
Not surprised. And I'm looking forward to the Fractured But Whole, the new South Park game in March, which basically is making me Ubisoft's bitch right now. It's like, Ubisoft's coming out with a new game, just hand it over. From what I've seen, part of the reason they're taking so long with the Fractured But Whole is they're actually going to be taking the same software that Matt and Trey used to make South Park and incorporating it into the game engine.
Ah. Okie doke. So they're trying to be even more faithful to the original material.
Yes. The previous company, Obsidian, used Shockwave or used Flash to emulate it. But this wasn't good enough for Ubisoft. They wanted that. And it is incorporating all the changes made in South Park in the last 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Which there have been some huge changes to the town itself and a few things. Apparently, one of the things that will be referenced in the game and was actually brought to Matt and Trey's attention by the game developers is the whole Craig X Tweak Yowie thing. Something that is, by the way, still continuing in the South Park universe, as they still are referring to Craig and Tweak as being gay. Even though it was the delusion thought up by a few of the girls in South Park. But apparently the developers for the game found these pictures, showed them to Matt and Trey, and they looked at each other and said, yeah, we'll make an episode about this. And they did.
The magic. All right, now we've officially hit the hour.
Yes, we have. So, yes, who's up for the 5-minute challenge?
I think it's my turn.
I do think it is Tim's turn.
All right. Cool, that's fine. Just start up the...
Google.com and stopwatch. All right, ready, Tim?
As ever, I'll be.
Backwards we speak.
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
So, Zeratrix and the 2 guys are still stuck in a tunnel, and they hear some chanting, and it's the dog's chanting, peace in our time, peace in our time, peace in our time. And then the doctor says to the guy he was supposed to rescue, this is an idiotic plan. You can't negotiate peace with the Daleks. And then the guy is all like positive thinking and is like, you can if you believe. And the doctor is like, dude, the dogs are gonna spit in your eye and stab you in the best chance they get. This is not gonna work, and I'll prove it to you. Here, let me put up a diagram. You see that when you blow up all the planets, Gallifrey gets destroyed. And the guy's like, whoa? And then Rejoice jumps on a grenade or something, and it's revealed that the two guys were secretly working with the other guy. And just as the Doctor's about to be killed, the Cardinal comes and teleports them away and says, "Ha ha! This was my whole plan the whole time." Dun dun dun. And planet eventually gets better.
Are you done?
Pretty much it.
Yep.
You know how much of a stoner you sound like, Tim?
I don't know. A little bit.
I mean,
Dude.
it could have been worse.
Oh, you did it.
Could have been like, and the. Okay, go ahead, Matt.
In 1 minute and 33 seconds.
I mean, it could have got worse. You could have said that the Doctor pulled up a chart and the dude is like, "Whoa," and the Doctor's like, "Uh-huh," and the Daleks are like, "Uh-oh."
Uh-oh, exterminate! And they shoot the guy. And the Doctor's like, oh no, oh well.
And instead of saying guys, if you had said dude, it would have been even more stoner-like. And the dude pulled a gun on the other dude and then shot the dude in the dude.
But dude.
And now I have a goal for if I do the summary for class episode 1.
Dude.
That's going to be your title. Yes, that's just going to be your introduction for the class episode. Welcome, dudes, and more dudes.
Yeah.
Oh man, look at all the dudes. We got at least 3 dudes here.
Welcome to class episode 1. I'm Dude. With me is Dude, and Lady Dude.
We just gonna call her dude for sure, otherwise it'll get confusing.
FYI, I am not actually stoned at this time.
I'm wondering if I could pull off an entire 2-hour podcast as a stoner.
Dude.
I'm actually thinking about it.
A long time ago, someone once said, drugs would just make me normal.
I have actually opened up stuff, talking about stuff with I am not on drugs, I am naturally this high. So, anyway, let me pull up the dice roller. You'd think I would have this freaking shortcut by now, but I don't. Because I'm an idiot. I keep thinking
being an idiot.
I keep thinking about bookmarking it, and I never do.
Drugs
All right.
help magnify your personality. Yes, but what if you're an asshole?
You're an asshole! And we both just quoted Bill Cosby, known sex offender.
Oh, but that was when he was just a comedian, though.
And a sex offender. We just didn't know it.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron. So
He
what
was an
your
unknown sex offender. That's the only difference.
All right, so Aaron, what did you like overall about this episode?
I mean, let me see here. I kind of like the plot, actually. I kind of like the overall plot. It was fairly simple, but it wasn't quite straightforward. There's a lot of little twists and turns, like people kind of betraying each other. You got Saratrix betraying the Doctor. Supposedly, he's looking to make peace for the Daleks. Then you got Bennis, who sneaks up and reveals that he's actually working for Saratrix. And then you have, of course, the Daleks are betraying everyone.
Because-
The Talians or something like, is it Talians? Yeah,
Yes.
the Talians. As soon as
Think,
the Daleks
think Italians without the I.
yeah, the Talians. As soon as the Daleks are like immobilized, just pretty much are like, well, you know, these Daleks helped us get this far, but now I think it's time for us to take over and take the reins here. So, despite the fact that there's still Daleks on other planets around here too. So, I think were they all immobilized as well? Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, and then you have
wasn't clear.
Alestra. Yeah, and then you have Alestra betraying betraying Bennis and Seratrix and everything. I kind of like the backstabbing, that was going on. Again, not much going on with the plot, and then towards the end, Alistra tries to manipulate the Doctor into believing she's not really all that bad. Look how okay the years and years and years after the war, the planet Keska is fine, and they've got a monument built towards Rejoice and everything. So I don't know. I kind of liked it.
All right.
People sound confused.
I know it's good.
Okay.
No, I'm just writing down the order. So,
Alrighty.
and Bill, you're up next.
I liked the sense of urgency, the fact that there was some suspense to it, and felt like things needed to happen quickly, which can especially get lost sometimes in audios, as it feels like things are just dragging on. But this really felt like, things needed to happen quickly, and then did.
All right. Tim, how about you?
I really liked the Cardinal, especially at the end, her reveal that how she was manipulating them all the manipulators, because it shows a depth to Gallifreyan people that I've not seen.
Well, Alestra is basically earning magnificent bastard points this entire bit because she's basically endgaming this whole thing, manipulating everybody, and still gets away with it because she's freaking in charge. All right, Matt, your favorite thing.
I just have to. I guess one of the major things I have to really say that I really liked in this, in particular as well, is just the different sounds and how well they use them. We have various different levels of Dalek. We keep them very clear and very obvious as to what they are, despite all coming from the same voice actor. And also, I'd like to say that the different sound effects, from background sounds to the almost, I want to say, retro-sounding weapons that the Time Lords have, very interesting things that kind of stand out like that.
I think that was the classic Staser sound that they were using from like Fifth Doctor era.
Yeah. You don't really hear it very often in Doctor Who, but they did have them.
I think Fifth Doctor era was the last time we saw Stasers on screen, wasn't it?
I think so.
Might have been.
We
yeah.
saw them originally in the Fourth Doctor era, when the Doctor uses one to try to assassinate the assassinator of the president and fails. And then we saw them, but I don't know if we saw them used in Invasion of Time. And then I think the last time we saw them was Arc of Infinity. Possibly they were seen but not used during Trial of a Time Lord, but I don't remember actually seeing them.
Oh, also, I think they might have been used during the the Five Doctors, weren't they? Or at least shown, but never maybe used. Actually,
I think
no.
we might have heard. I think we heard one shot.
Yeah.
When the Castellan that's accused of using the Black Scrolls goes out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Actually, I think they might have used it once. Yeah.
Yep.
For that.
So yeah, sound okay. Oh, what did I like overall? And mind you, this is because you've named all the stuff I was going to say. All of you. Damn
I'm
you.
sorry.
I'm sorry, David.
I think I have to go with some of the. There are certain scenes in particular, but overall, I think I have to go with John Hurt's performance. He really did feel like a true and honest doctor in this, as much as he denies it.
Yes.
Okay, so what didn't you like? Starting with Aaron.
What didn't I like? Overall. I don't know if there was anything specifically that I didn't like. Gosh, yeah, I'm gonna take a pass on this.
All right, Bill.
I'm also thinking outside of specific scenes. I'm not sure if I have a general dislike for this part.
All right, you taking a pass too?
I think so.
Tim?
I thought just the whole idea of trying to negotiate peace with the Daleks kind of stretch.
Yeah, it showed an extreme naivety on the part of.
Of that particular group, yes.
Yeah. I mean, but that's kind of how a lot of Dalek alliances start, though. Too, you see
It's
a lot
just
of
people of naivete up
Yeah.
the wazoo, yeah.
naivete, and they're desperate. People who are desperate to just make the war end, and are willing to sell out their own people just to stop everything.
Yeah, but the Gallifreyan of all people should know better.
Should be able to take a look at history and go, wow, this has never ended well.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, there's always somebody arrogant enough that thinks, well, that was them and this is me.
And I think the Doctor said something at some point that the Gallifreyans never really were interested in looking back at history.
Mm-hmm.
Which is stupid because they're the ones that have enough power to. God.
Well, thank
And that's
goodness
the
we have
problem.
Olistra. Thank goodness we have Olistra there to take care of such inconveniences and bad ideas like this.
Even though she's willing to throw everyone and everything to the wolves to do so.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's a bus. Hey, Elistra. Ah!
All right, Matt, how about you? What didn't you like?
Oh, I guess I could only kind of agree with what Tim said. Yeah, that was. I understand why, but it is quite the stretch for any Time Lord to be going that far.
All right. Well, as for me, I didn't like the Talions. I honestly, they were way too one-dimensional for my tastes.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought, wow, there's actually a species out there more one-dimensional than the Daleks.
Actually, just about as one-dimensional as the Daleks, because I don't think the Daleks can get above one-dimensional.
We are cardboard.
Especially
Daleks
those
can
are
trick you into thinking that they're three-dimensional, but it's only for the sake of engaging the one dimension.
I mean, granted, they do that one dimension very well.
Yes, they do.
The Daleks, not the Talians.
They're the best they are at what they do, and what they do isn't very nice. Oh, wait. Marvel's going to sue my ass now, isn't it?
I have a backlist. You'll die of old age before they get to you.
Yeah, true. Besides, the guy that says that's dead at the moment. Although I need to be sure about that.
You have to check
Is
almost every week,
Wolverine
don't
still
you?
dead? Well, yes, I have to check on this every week. Is Wolverine still dead?
Boop, boop, boop.
Says Outlook hazy.
Old
Yes,
Man Logan is
he's
still
still
the
dead.
only one alive.
Okay.
Logan's alive!
Logan's
All right.
alive!
All right. So, yeah, I didn't like the one-dimensionalness of the Talians. They just, I know they were trying to make them as analogous to the Daleks, but that's kind of the point of the Daleks, is there's no one that's supposed to be that one-dimensional.
They're kind of like new. It's like they took Ogrons, but they wanted someone that could have a conversation. So they
Yeah.
got the Talians.
Still not very smart conversation.
Yeah, it just that level of one-dimensionalist doesn't really work in a society unless you're the frickin' Daleks and are genetically engineered that way.
They're kind of like original series Klingons, and I'm sure you're going to
Even
come
the
up with something
original
to
series
refute that.
Klingons. Oh yes, I will. I'll come up with Captain Koloth. My dear Captain Kirk. No, original series Klingons were great. They didn't get one-dimensional until the movies. And then they grew out of that into multi-dimensional when they brought in Worf. No, because remember, the original series, the Klingons were the Russians. So they had all that little subtle Cold War nuances going on. Anyway. So, scenes that you liked. Aaron.
I liked the scene where the doctor is investigating. He's like pretty much pretending to be John Smith to the Daleks, and he basically uncovers their master plan. He's like, oh, let's just kind of look through some of these files here, and what do we have here?
God,
you're planning on
damn it,
destroying everyone,
Aaron.
I'm sorry. It sticks out, and it's really good. I love John Hurt in it.
Yes, that is the scene I'm specifically thinking of when I said that John Hurt's acting was more doctor in this than anything. Is this because he's really just we're not we're not the people blowing up there. We're your repairmen. Yes, we're here to fix your stuff.
What's this? Oops, I happened upon the Dalek porn stash. What do we have here?
God damn it, Matt! I am going to try not to spend the rest of this podcast trying to think of what hardcore Dalek pornography looks like.
It looks like It looks like Directions to Destroy Gallifrey is what it looks like.
Probably tentacle hentai too.
It's like Cthulhu porn.
Apparently, Rule 34 does have a Dalek page.
I don't even. Oh. The goo.
Hot tentacle on tentacle action.
You realize they'll think that all that gooey stuff that you see whenever the Dalek opens its case is Dalek spunk.
That gives the ending of the Witch's Familiar a whole different spin.
What do you think they use those tunnels for, Bill?
Oh my.
Throw them in the sex pits.
Well, RTD was taking influence from Buffy when he made the new series, and Buffy did once get thrown into a sewer to get raped by mer people.
Into the sex dungeon. Enter. Wow, that can take a whole new meaning too. Good night, everybody.
And we've completely derailed the episode. I am so proud.
You derailed my brain.
I stopped Randy's hamster.
I'm going to have to pour borax in my ears.
Hey, we have some of that, hon.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
I don't know. Using that line just makes me start thinking of Family Guy and their... Okay, we are way off topic. We hit the rail sideways, derailed the train behind us. The 5 o'clock
Erin
express
was
to
talking about
Chicago.
her favorite part, and you were frustrated because she took it from you.
Yeah, I had just stolen your favorite part.
Yes, you did.
So, Bill.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I was settling in on a favorite part, and then we got terribly
Terribly sidetracked.
I'll be
kind
killing
of really
Matt
like the
later.
conversation the doctor had with Elistra that really highlights the difference between the two of them and the fact that yes, he is still pretty much the doctor, and her being a completely martial Time Lord and his just being disgusted throughout the entire time while she's almost giddy.
To be honest, I'm not really fond of this I'm not the doctor bit that they're doing this early on.
I do hope that I do wish it would stop bringing that up so much at the very least.
Yeah, because it always kind of occurred to me that really would have been the defining moment of that was when he decided to use the moment.
No, because I mean, remember when he regenerated, his first words as
Was
John Hurt were "Doctor No More." Yeah,
But even so, I wouldn't think it would be as vehement as it is as he's doing it in this. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. But yes, there is. They do show a great difference between the two of them. That said, I mean, this is the kind of character that this lady is known to play and is doing it beautifully, knowing that she has not lost her touch in all of this. Still being able to play the evil, and I will use that word in quotation marks, mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's been doing it for about 40 years.
30 at least, because it was end of the 70s.
Well, it's almost the end of the 2000 teens, so
Oh yeah,
very close to
I
40.
guess that is approaching 40. My brain was thinking more 35, but yeah.
Well, okay, so Tim.
Yeah. Tim, what about you? Favorite scene?
I love the scene at the end where Cardinal asks, "Where can we find you?" The doctor says, "In the heart of the battle." I just love a good title drop.
It really depends.
At least they wait till the end of the episode to do it.
Yeah. I mean, if they entitled the second episode "The Null Zone" instead of "The Thousand Worlds," and it was that I've fallen into the Null Zone, that would have been the worst title drop ever.
I do think they wrote the line before they came up with the title, but they didn't really actually say that. I remember them saying that someone came up with the line and that everyone really loved the line, but I got the impression that it was the title came after that, but I might be mistaken.
Yeah, it's probably what they tend to do when they make these titles is they find a really good line in the script and use it. And sometimes it comes as early as their working title, but normally the script comes first and then the title's taken later, and it's under a working title for most of it. It doesn't help when that working title is leaked, but yeah. Like, you could tell that somebody was building titles and was very mentally snappy with season 9 of Doctor Who, where you had, the girl who died, the woman who lived, the Zygon invasion, the Zygon inversion. They were having fun with titles.
Right. Even if the working titles were X of the Y.
Yeah. Well, usually they're not even X of the Y. They're usually something pretty bland. Usually like little one-word names. Or the something. But yeah, so yeah, the line itself was fairly good. I don't think though it was my favorite part. All right, Matt, your favorite scene.
I will say that some of the other good ones were alright taken. I guess another one that I would bring up is the Doctor talking about how twisted this universe is, that people with good intentions end up making the worst choices while trying to figure out how to stop the drill. I believe it was after the scientist guy got shot by the Daleks and possibly just after they had stunned the Daleks.
Hmm.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to base mine on the corollary to that. Corollary. I can't even say it. I'm going to base mine adjunct to Matt's here. It's that point where the Doctor's just like, and what'll you be doing? Well, I could go out and help you stop all the Daleks, but that wouldn't stop this drill from coring into your planet and killing everyone, so I'll just stop that then. It just seemed to be another one of those kind of doctory moments. Okay, well, I have something to add to my vocabulary of words I cannot say straight. Got it. Yeah. Aside.
Are we on most hated?
It's going to be
Scenes?
next, and it's going to be
Oh,
you.
okay, I was gonna say. All right.
It'll be you. You're next. Go.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. Haha.
Mm-hmm.
Should I start now?
Yep,
Yeah.
go ahead.
All right. I did not like the fight with the Daleks because I felt it was kind of confusing. The one where they're kind of running away. It sounds like they're trying to barricade themselves or block some entrance off, but I couldn't quite tell. It was Rejoice, the Doctor. I think Bennis was still alive or something. Maybe they run into a room and they try to barricade it, try to block it off or something. And I didn't really understand what was going on. It sounded like they were trying to push stuff around. I don't know. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Kind of, sort of.
I don't know.
I
I don't
didn't-
remember. I don't remember a scene where they're trying to barricade anything.
The scene where they first start exchanging fire with the Daleks after the Doctor like yells out two names, and then we wonder who gets shot, and it turns out the Daleks are the ones that got shot.
Okay.
Is that the one you mean, or?
I think so. It was. I want to say it was after Seratrix was shot dead.
Oh, then that's not what I thought you meant.
No, I don't recall what you're.
It's one of the earlier scenes where they're being shot at by the Daleks, and I can't remember.
Well, then it wasn't before
was just
Seratrix
kinda
was shot, because
confusing.
Seratrix wasn't shot until after the Great Plan reveal,
Yeah.
which was
Oh.
about halfway to 2/3 of the way through the story.
So you're
Yeah,
talking
I
about
think
when they were making their mad rush from the room and heading towards the center. Then I
Yep.
understood perfectly what was going on. It was just that they were off in the distance, closing in on the place. They're just taking their time getting down the hallway with all their little retro beams firing at each other.
All right, Bill.
I'm going to say the scene where Seratrix is shot just felt like it was sloppily done. From the Prime saying exterminate and only him being shot, and then nobody else ends up getting shot, to just the fact that he's the absolute most convenient person that's hard for the plot to deal with, and therefore conveniently gets rid of him. And the whole scene just felt like it was forced and kind of sloppy.
Yeah, you'd think if the Daleks were going to be exterminating anyone right there, it was the Dalek. Would be the Doctor, because he's the one standing there going, "This is the plan."
Right. One thing Daleks always seem to fail at is they always seem to target the same person. When they're supposed to be exterminating a group, they never each pick a different person. They just all fire at the same person. Very convenient for people who want to escape.
Because they probably exterminate the person closest to them.
Mm-hmm.
Target closest, fire. It's somewhere in the Dalek protocols. All right. Tim?
Just the scene where any I'm gonna have to pass because I didn't really think any of the scenes were all that bad.
All right. Matt?
The one I have a hard time understanding is when Rejoice got hit by something.
Rejoice got hit by the leader of the Italians.
That's all I really understood, and the doctor is yelling something about her trying to protect him or something.
No, they're trying to talk him down, but he turns around and kills her anyway because he hates all of her people, and he's still a bigoted asshole. That's pretty much the only reason why he does it. And it's basically plot relevant that she die. I don't think it's a great
Supposedly
scene.
maybe died. We don't know for sure.
I don't think it's the greatest scene, personally. I understand why it happened, but I don't think I think it was a little out of the blue.
It was a little out of the blue, and the sound effects weren't actually on par on that one. That's the only weak scene that I can think of, really.
The sound effects were different because it was Italian gun, not a Time Lord Staser. But
I still can't mentally picture what was going on there. It just kind of crumbled there for a moment, and then slowly came back.
All right. Well, my least favorite scene is right at the beginning where the Daleks are chanting "Peace in our time," because it's something the Daleks should never, ever, ever chant. I mean, one Dalek saying it as part of a manipulation is fine, but them taking it up like a fucking mantra, no. I just could not buy that. And that may be just me. All right. Final thoughts. Aaron.
I actually really like this one. It's a good follow-up to the previous episode. It adds to the serialization and it wraps up the overall story really well. You've got a lot of little twists and turns in the plot. Even though the plot itself is fairly, there's not a lot of subplots or anything going on. Kept it kind of fairly simple. And also John Hurt was very likable. I enjoyed it.
All right, Bill.
Together, I forget. Did we give final thoughts as part of our last week?
Yes.
We gave final thoughts, but we
Okay.
did not score.
Right. Okay. Well, I do think this was a satisfying conclusion. I do feel it picked up a lot compared to the rest of the box set. There, it feels a lot more like there's stakes, a lot more like what you'd expect with the Time War, the War Doctor. A little too classic doctory for me in the sense that it doesn't really break strongly with, give a real reason why the War Doctor is separate from the Doctor and doesn't want to be called it. But for instance, if he was one of the people wielding a gun, it would make that break would make more sense.
Yes.
I do think though that this was a pretty good story. Some issues like that scene that I mentioned. But altogether, I would say that the heart of the battle was pretty good.
All right. Tim?
I really liked the heart of the battle. I thought it was the strongest part of this duology, where it could also be a trilogy. But the introduction of the magnificent bastard of the Cardinal is really what put this thing over over for me. And I thought Rejoice, it was the perfect combination of like innocent naivety, but still savvy enough to recognize what was what. So other than that, I think overall it was a very good storyline.
Okay. Matt?
After 1,000 Worlds, you definitely need to have Heart of the what was it? Heart of the battle?
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely need the heart of the
Heart of
battle.
battle.
Hmm?
The heart of battle, I think, was
No,
the
heart of the battle. The heart of the battle of. Wait, gotta go back. Yeah, heart of the battle. The heart of the battle. That is the
Oh,
full title is
there,
on the screen. They used the twice in the title. Yeah. Oop.
the heart of the. Yep, they did. That was my bad. I need to correct that now.
X
And
of the
some of my
world.
notes.
Mm-hmm. But you definitely need the second part to continue the middle part. Very much so. The first part can almost stand on its own because they actually have a solid point where they can give it a good break. But this is definitely the two-parter, same story for A Thousand Worlds and Heart of the Battle.
All right.
And that being said, it's also a very, very good conclusion to the story.
All right. Well, as for me, I liked it. I think it did have a couple of minor flaws, but all in all, it was a very good conclusion to the Thousand Worlds. I will, however, state for the record that neither one feels complete without the other.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much one contiguous story, and really should have been billed as such. The acting is great. John Hurt, in particular, shows his chops at being the Doctor quite unbelievably well in this. And I really am looking forward to seeing more from the future. Jacqueline Pierce as the Cardinal is a absolute wonder, magnificent character, and there's really not much to say against this. Only a couple of minor nitpicks, really.
Mm-hmm.
And we go to our score. And Aaron, you are leading.
All right.
Remember that the score is combined from Thousand Worlds as well.
Okay, I was gonna say, Thousand Worlds plus this one. I think it's good enough that I'm gonna boost up my original score of 4.0 that I was going to give to Thousand Worlds. I'm gonna boost that to 4.5.
All right. Bill?
The pressure's on. I'm kind of on the fence between two ratings, but I think I'm leaning toward a 4.0.
All right. Tim?
Overall, I think the story is a 4.5.
Matt?
Combined together, oh, I can't say I can keep it that low. I have to round it up to a 5.
5 full?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I think mine will round up to a 4.5, making our average 4.5. Which will put this in pretty high-level company here. I'm sure that all carried over properly. Yes, it did.
It was very easily a 4.75 for me, and that usually tends to mean it needs to round up. I could not willingly put it down to a 4.5.
Anyway, a 4.5 will put this fairly high on our list. We'll put this Thousand Worlds Heart of the Battle at number 18 of everything we have ranked thus far. It is on par with the Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion, Enlightenment, Spare Parts, The Invasion, and the Rebos Operation. It is better than The 11th Hour, Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, Time Reaver, The Time Warrior, Face the Raven, The Judgment of Iskar, Husbands of River Song, Smoke and Mirrors, Terror of the Zygons, Samtaran Stratagems, This Poison Sky, but it is not quite as good as The Bells of St. John, and The Magician's Apprentice, The Witch's Familiar, and The Invasion of Time.
Yeah.
So, 18. On our list, I think that is currently 173 currently reviewed. That's very good.
That's some very good stuff from a relatively new Doctor that we haven't seen much of.
No, we haven't. Bill and I are currently discussing when we can show or when we can review for future War Doctor stuff. We don't want to make everything we're doing from Big Finish War Doctor, so we're going to try to find a good balance.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to make it just that. Otherwise, we'd be kind of hitting the same note over and over again too much.
So, I believe we are still a little early. Is there anything else anybody wants to say? Going once. Going twice.
Dalek
Well.
sex.
God damn it, Aaron. Anyway, so I guess that's all we have to say about the heart of the battle. Bill.
Well, if you enjoy listening to us, please go ahead and like the video so that we know. And subscribe to us at youtube.com and at twitch.tv/unearthlypodcast. You can also like and follow us for news and updates at facebook.com/unearthlypodcast and twitter.com/unearthlypod. And if you want to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/unearthlypodcast or gofundme.com/MIBSpain and do so there.
All right. And on next week's show, we will get it. I swear to you, we will get it. Even if one of us has to swim across the Atlantic, record it, and swim all the way back. We will have the first episode of class, and we will review it next week. Eat, drink, and be merry for Tonight We May Die by Patrick Ness. Next week on an Unearthly podcast.
All
Be
right.
there.
Alrighty then. Good night, everybody.
See y'all.
Sweet dreams.
I love it when you rub my Dalek bumps.
That one's not as bad.